Thank you. Thank you, Anandita. Thank you, Ramendra. Thank you, the PR Council of India, for having me over. And hello, Richa and Deepa. It's wonderful to meet you and meet so many other PR professionals from across the country.
नहीं नहीं मेरे को चाय नहीं चाहिए.
So, just coming to the question that Anandita asked me, how is storytelling different when we train students and when we train corporates or people in corporate jobs or in organizations? The answer is very simple. Uh, it's actually sometimes when we're working with students, whether it's school students or whether it's college students, we are sort of preparing them for a world which we think is out there, or what we know is out there, and the kind of jobs or the kind of stories that they will be required to tell. But even given our education system, sometimes students are always in the study mode, which means that tell me how to tell a story and I will go tell a story. You know, the whole art of storytelling is not that. The art of storytelling is to be in the story, to be aware that the story is happening right under your nose, to value it, to pick it out, to craft it and tell it with no ulterior motive. But really, the real purpose of telling a story is because the story needs to be told. When we're working with, of course, corporates, training them means giving them a precise reason or a methodology of how the story can be molded in their specific area of work. While we're working with students, we give them 101 or maybe more multiple scenarios of what a corporate might be doing, what they might be required to do in their professional space. So there could be a story happening with your colleagues, there could be a story happening with the brand that you're working with, there could be a story with your product, with your customer. So there are so many multiple touch points, right? So it's more expansive. But when we are working with a corporate, they have a very, very niche requirement. They might be looking at storytelling as a training methodology, storytelling as a means to train a certain group of people in something, or as a tool to empower people so that they can use storytelling in their workspaces. So their requirement is very, very niche, and that's something which I enjoy doing a lot. So I believe that storytelling is not something which is like a generic umbrella term. It 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 yields value, or it is more valuable and useful only when you customize it to the storyteller's needs, which is the needs of the teller who's coming to me to learn, the potential storyteller in the future. So for whether it's a corporate who, let's even whether when you're looking at corporates or organizations, somebody in the hospitality sector will have different kinds of stories to tell vis-a-vis somebody in the IT sector, or somebody working in the not-for-profit sector who's working with, let's say, in the education space, and again, not-for-profit working in the women entrepreneurship space. So if you look at it, all of these kinds, everybody has a different storytelling requirement and a scope. When we help people tell stories, when we train them, is to help them how will they use stories to tell customer stories, or the process stories, or their brand stories, or the legacy stories. While working with students is, of course, it's like a game for them. It's when and of course, as a storyteller and as a trainer, when we go in to train people, they always feel that this once upon a time kind of a syndrome is for younger children. छोटे बच्चों की चीज है, बड़ों को हम तो young adults हैं, we are adults, so we don't need to be told how to tell a story, right? But somewhere our work is to rekindle that love for stories that they felt once upon a time when they were young, and suddenly to realize that, oh, what you liked once upon a time is actually something that you will need very soon into the future. And it's that disconnect that we somewhere try to bridge. I have worked for several years teaching teacher trainees in Delhi universities, and the biggest wow moment for me was to help these young adults find the child in them which they had lost. So when they suddenly come face to face with the child that they had lost, when they read a children's book, and Richa is here, they've read so many of Richa's books there, and they were like, wow, I mean, this is what a child's life is all about. Or look at a child's imagination. I wonder what happened to our imagination. And then when we tell them that you have to carry on this imagination into your workspace, whether as a teacher or an educator or as a manager or a professional or even as an entrepreneur, there's so many things that you can do with it. So the power of storytelling is varied when it comes to students and corporates. Anandita, you there? Yes, somebody picked up the hand. I think Anandita is not there. So we'll improvise. We'll improvise. Ah, there she is. Oh, there she is. We can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Anandita, unmute your mic, please. Your mic is muted.
Okay. So what I was just saying is, wait, I'll just connect. I think it's better I connect through my laptop, but not to waste time. What I'm just saying is that yes, I think there's a gap in the reading habits of people. Okay, so that is one of the reason maybe why we need to do this storytelling more through inculcate values in people. Now, you being a television producer, I would like to ask you, what do you think can be the role of media here to boost up this communication medium storytelling?
Anandita, that's asking. It's a pretty troublesome question to ask a former journalist, former television producer, a question on media and storytelling, because I can bring out all my fangs and go chop 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 on the media today. But I come from an old school of journalism, which believed that the story is best told from the horse's mouth. Let the horse tell its own story. You are just the facilitator. You're the medium. You're the tool. And somewhere down the line, I think that philosophy or that approach has sort of been taken away from the media today. So it's not about letting the horse tell its story, but we keep the horse on mute and we tell what the horse's story is, and we forget the horse and what the horse feels like and what the horse wherever the horse is. So I think that's something which has been lost in the mainstream. Also, what is happening is the horse wants to tell only one kind of a story, which is why the media is also is problematic, because the media has stopped asking questions. The role of a storyteller is to ask questions. The role of the storyteller is to tell its story in a complete, authentic, and honest way, so that the listener or the viewer, in case of television, or let's say, or in terms of media, the reader who's reading it from a news portal or from a newspaper or a magazine, questions the story, goes on an exploration, and has an independent view, irrespective of what the medium wants the reader, the viewer, to believe in. So that, I think, has been again completely taken away. You know, like when children are small, and I don't blame it also entirely, because when we look at traditional storytelling, we also say that, oh, the moral of the story is this. Yeah, that's something that we've all grown up to. And that's because we tell the story and we tell even the listener to know that this is what you're supposed to feel for the story. This is the takeaway from the story. So take it in a spoon, gulp it down, and forget about the story. What's happening in media is exactly the same thing, which is you tell a story and tell the viewer what to believe in, which kind of a news to follow, what kind of a story to actually support and spread, and not to have an independent thinking or a view of it. So I think the role of media in storytelling is immense. I learned some of the best storytelling techniques which I use even today. I call myself a story gatherer, a story digger. I love listening to stories. I love listening to people's real stories. And a large part of my work is to collect stories from the environment and tell them for the clients who I work with. So that part of me is what I learned from journalism, from being a media professional. But I feel that what media is doing today is not authentic storytelling. It's somewhere diluted its purpose. It's become more divisive. It is not authentic in any way. In fact, it takes a lot of courage to be authentic and genuine in today's world. So I think that's not the right way. You need to unmute yourself, Anamita.
So that is definitely a great risk in it, because see, when we are telling a story and in a convincing way, so that the whoever we are saying, they are the first is to believe someone. So it can, if not dealt properly, it can go haywire. Now here I would like to bring the corporate angle here. Now many of us are professionals here, whether you're an entrepreneur or you're working in a corporate. What do you think
can be the effect of storytelling in the onboarding process? Because it's again a mutual trust which we are exchanging with each other. So from the employer and the candidate perspective, what do you think, how effective is storytelling there?
I think onboarding is a step, is a second step to, let's say, building your credibility as an employer. The first step is authentic communication. You may not be in a hiring mode, but your potential employee is somewhere out there. You may have a business expansion plan in the next year. You may want to hire in the second quarter. You want to do that. But today, somebody out there is waiting for an opportunity, for an opening in your organization. So the first step is your business communication. You may not be really getting people on, but what are you telling about your company, about its values, its place of work, its ethics, its process, its people? Do you value your people? All of this is very important. Now, what happens is when you see that out, it's an outbound communication, of course, that makes an organization very, very lucrative. Onboarding happens when you've already selected, interviewed, and you know that person is joining, and you've given a offer letter, and the person comes into your company. The person has already invested and made a decision, right? And once that person has made, a new employee has made a decision about your company, it's your role or your responsibility to make that person understand that he or she truly belongs in this big company, and where does he or she fit in. That's where the onboarding experience is very important. And if you use stories, it's very, very critical. Using stories for onboarding is all about creating the story about your organization, its past, its present, and its future. Because preferably, I mean, the organization that I've worked with when designing their entire onboarding module was dealing with millennials. And their dealing with millennials was all about, they don't stay, they don't stick, they don't have patience, they want to go away, we are having fine problems. I see a lot of us here who perhaps are in the middle-aged category, who we have perhaps worked in our own organizations for many years, right? If I'm not wrong. Or you wouldn't have shifted every 2 years or 3 years or whatsoever. And that's why that generation of employees feel completely taken aback when they see the younger generation come in and they don't settle down. And they feel, why don't they value the company? Why don't they want to stick here? Why don't they understand the prestige value of working with such a big brand? Because they don't believe in it. That's where the onboarding is important, that how you will get everyone to walk the story with you, to live the story of your organization, speak the language that they speak in, contextualize, and tell them the story that they are looking for. And that's where onboarding is so, so important. Again, what's important
Very
is...
aptly said. Rightly said, Ritu, because I think it's a present, of course, and it's a future of at both the ends, the organization who you're taking on board and where you're working. And of course, one should be in line with the vision and mission of the company. Often we see, when we do something, we don't get the required appreciation, and we feel that, what went wrong. So most of the time it is not on the, they're on the same page and with the mission and vision of the company. Very, very rightly said, Ritu. With this, I'll just shift my question towards another angle. Now that we know, and it's proven also that EQ is more effective than IQ. So how do you think that storytelling can impact the mental well-being of a person, which is very important, especially in this lockdown and COVID we have seen. So how do you think it can impact very positively?
Anindita, I've seen amazing things happen when I have asked for a story. When I've called somebody up and said, your organization feels you're an excellent example of such and such thing, and we want to tell your story. So I want to listen to it. Will you tell me your story? And this small thing, tell me your story, has such transformational change, brings such transformational change in that person. You suddenly feel that it is doing something to that person. Everybody likes to be valued. Everybody likes to see where do they fit in. Everybody likes, it's not the end of the year appraisal form that they fill up and the salary hike that they really value more. They want to really, it's not even an award for that matter. What they want to know is that the organization is watching them, it values them, and it wants to keep them or celebrate whatever they have done in that organization. And that's that story, that emotional well-being comes just from there, the sense of being valued. And given that, gathering stories or listening to stories, therefore, gives them the sense of value and purpose. The other thing that it does is, of course, it's extremely cathartic. What storytelling does is when you tell your story these are experiences of having worked in adult spaces where people have not shared their story of how they left their home and how they took their first job and what, how much salary did they get and what struggles did they have, what failures did they have, what did the first win feel like. Recollecting these stories are extremely cathartic because we live our life, from day to day. We forget about, our everyday struggles and our everyday wins. Telling a story makes you very mindful, and being mindful of your past adds to your present. It also paves the way for your future, which is why it's extremely powerful for an individual to be telling one's story, to be aware of one's story, and also to share it. And in doing all of it is the mental well-being or the emotional well-being of the person.
So nice. Thank you so much, Ritu, because in fact, nowadays we have many counseling sessions even over the phones, which was earlier the concept of the Western countries, and that is nothing but to hear you at, as you very rightly said, just hearing someone out, whether we can do something or not, but just to hear someone out and then tell what we feel and from our heart. Thank you, Ritu. Thank you so much for your time. I'm sure you'll be there for webinar, but before that, we would take questions for you from the audience, and the first 3 questions will only be taken, and I would request Jacob to please pitch in and tell me if any questions have come already on the chats.
No,
for Ritu.
Now we don't have any questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So audience, if you
I have one question
any questions for Ritu. Sorry?
We have one question from Ranjit Kumar.
Yeah.
As a storyteller, what are the subjects in school can be enhanced through storytelling skills?
As a storyteller, what are the subjects in school can be enhanced?
Enhanced.
All subjects. All subjects can be taught through story. There's a story tucked in every subject, every concept. Everything that you're studying in a school has its real world application or has a story behind it. You just have to find that story and tell it. That's the easiest answer to it. There's a story tucked in every concept that there is. Whether it's history, geography, science, maths, everything has a story around it.
Yeah, we have one more story from Sridevi Srinivasan. Is storytelling in corporate, can you give one example for an instance?
Right. So couple, I'll give you 2. During the onboarding module that we designed, one of the most critical elements was conveying organizational values. Values are very personal. We have value education in school, and very tricky. It's a very tricky situation that stories are used for value education. Personally, as a storyteller, I think values cannot be taught through stories. Values cannot be taught. They have to be lived. They have to be experienced. Yes. They have to be lived in a particular situation for an individual to judge whether this is a value that I abide by or not. So working in a corporate setup, when you all adults, middle-aged people, when they come in, or maybe in the 3rd or the 4th job, talking about values feel like, okay, fine. It's that good old thing that the company will say, we are very, very ethical, we are very moral, we support our employees. And it's a very boring thing to talk about, which they don't know. But the brief from the organization was, inko to tum rula do. Value wali story, inko rula do. So, and I said, rulane ka nahi hai. I mean, I don't want to make people cry, but I want people to sort of internalize what a value is. And very interestingly, the story came to me from my father. My father told me a story about a certain gentleman who had served in a large corporate all his life. And all his life he worked there somewhere in a clerical job. And he worked his entire career without taking a single day leave. Closer to his retirement, when the HR, and these are the days of a corporate India, when they didn't have full structured HR teams or people, sanctioning holidays and leaves and things like that, the HR team or whatever there was discovered that this gentleman has not taken a single day leave his entire career of X number of years. So this news reached the then MD of the company, and the then MD of the company said, okay, if he's not taken a leave, then we should do something about it. So very surprisingly, 2 days later, this gentleman gets a letter on his desk, and it says that you have been, you've never taken a holiday. We want you to, let's say, take a very special thank you letter from the Queen herself. So you have to go to London to get it. He said, go to London? I have never gone out of my hometown. Where will I go to London? I don't even know how to go to London. So they said, don't worry, tickets are there. There is some, foreign exchange. And those were the days when foreign exchange was very hard to get. So we said, don't worry, there is some money for you and your wife. But you have to go there and get this letter yourself. Because it's a matter of great pride for our organization that you've not taken a leave a single day. But you have to go get that letter. So this gentleman, middle-aged man, Bengali gentleman, never taken a leave. He goes very, very worried and scared to his wife and says, we have to go to London. We don't even have enough woolens to go to London. So they go buy a few things and they get on their first aeroplane and they go. When they go, the office there of this company, they come, they take them from the airport, they put them up in a plush apartment. They're wondering, when can we go to get that letter? Because their idea was to just go get that letter and get back to India. So the company manager said, no, don't worry, settle down. Tomorrow we're going to meet at their office and then we're going to talk. So next day in their office, when they met, this gentleman and his wife were looking very scared that we have to go meet the Queen. And there in that office was beautiful decorations and flowers and good food and cake and English tea served for them. They went there and the manager said, enjoy your holiday. This is your holiday in London, completely sponsored by the company. Now, this is an urban legend, and my story ends with the fact that this man who doesn't believe that the organization gave him a holiday for not having ever taken a holiday in his corporate career is an urban legend from a big corporate company. So my story ended there with talking about guess the company. Any guesses here? You can use the chat to write it down.
So,
one to you.
Any guesses?
Person from TVS Narayan. So what is the concept?
One second.
Yeah.
1 second, Jacob. Any guesses? If no, then we'll go. Then first let Ritu declare the company first.
What is he saying?
Yes,
Any guesses, as Ritu is saying?
Anna, you're right. Galaxy M30, you are right.
Indian company.
Yes, it is the
Any
Tata.
clues?
It is the Tata Group.
Tata.
It is the Tata. And the beauty of this. So here in this onboarding session, there was this green-eyed, blue-eyed, young first-time employee who said, he named the company and said, is it this hotel? And, he had this wishful desire that if I never take a leave, will this organization too give me a foreign holiday? You know what I mean? So that's what the story does for that person.
Ma'am, now
Best stories are the real-time experiences. That is all about storytelling. So quickly, before we go to Deepa Kiran, quickly, Ritu, we want you to answer Mr. TVS Bhutti's question, the last question for you today.
So what is the concept of storytelling in layman's language?
Is to tell a story from eye to eye, heart to heart. That's it. Telling a story is telling a story eye to eye, heart to heart. That's it. And let the story do its job.